We live in very troubling times, and that means that there are plenty of individuals out there who are pessimistic and nihilistic. They live their life aimlessly without any goals or ambitions. It's very clear to an outsider that they do not enjoy life. And the part of that is, again, because they don't have any goals. They don't have anything. So what are the symptoms of not having a life goal or ambitions? Or in other words, why shouldn't people live life aimlessly?
Let me ask you first the question. So, are we talking right now about symptoms, or why we should not? Those are different things.
I mean, we could answer both.
Okay, all right. So let's do the symptoms.
Symptoms first, the easiest.
Yeah, but symptoms it's kind of easy to recognize, right? It's just like when a person has like an aimless life, which is slowly deteriorating, yeah, almost like a rotting away, if you can say. That is a kind of symptom. When a person sits at home or just living really for nothing, has no interest or have no interest, these people in life, well, that's a good indicator. There's something deteriorating in the life. Something is rotting away. And the answer is right there. I mean, like, why not? Well, obviously, there is something rotting away. Something is dying away. That's actually not good. And it has to be remedied, right?
Right.
And does it answer your question?
Kinda, yeah. Again, we kind of have almost two questions with this one.
So why not? I mean, let me expand it. Why not? God gave us a life, right?
Right.
Life with a purpose. And that is the reason why we are born in different areas, different economies, different social groups, with the different talents, and of course, in different span of life with that, and different ideas. Like, every person is different. And it's for a purpose. God expects us to do something with our lives. He brought us to the life for a reason. We do not know what the reason is. That's for us to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So most of us, have a pretty long life to figure it out. But He brought us for a reason. Now, the reason is just kind of simple, like make this place a better place. And through our work, one day, to gain a reward and to be with Him, be in heaven.
Right,
Yeah, it's kind of like the parable about the workers in the Bible. And Jesus Christ was talking about the workers working on a vineyard, and at the end of the day, they receive reward for their work. And for us, that reward is being in heaven. And of course, if we do not do our job, do not do our work, we don't do what we're supposed to do, then we don't receive reward. And
right.
then, of course, we go to the purgatory, or even worse, we end up one day in hell forever. So
Right.
that's why it's very important.
This actually kind of brings up a really interesting point, because, and again, I know it's the topic of depression and suicide. That's I think a topic we'll talk about in the future. But it kind of leans a little bit into the same territory. People that are very, very pessimistic, they tend to fall into that kind of depressive mood and behavior. And people don't realize actually how kind of selfish almost that is. And the whole point of why we live our life, it's not for ourselves, right? We don't live so we can gain something out of this, right? As a lot of people like to think. I think that we have a calling, as you said, to make this world better and to be selfless, right? To be humble, to be, quote unquote meek, right? As is in the Beatitudes, as it says, right? And to help others. And I think that's kind of one of the ways to get out of depression is to realize that, it's not about yourself. It's about how you're helping other people. And actually getting out of depression is a way of helping other people because, people don't realize just how much of an impact that you have when you actually eventually make that wrong decision in life and you take your life. A lot of people don't realize how detrimental that actually is on other people. It really is. So
you can think about it. In this kind of illustration. Imagine the Christmas time, and depending everybody at the evening, or some people they do in the morning, they're giving each other presents, and just think about it. What really makes you, as a person, makes you more happy? If you receive a gift, or when you give someone a gift and you see that someone, being your brother, sister, parents, even grandparents, when that person receives the gift and is really happy and you see that happiness on this person's face, what gives you more deeper happiness?
Well, the second one, actually to give. I mean, a little kid would say the first one, right? But when you get older, yeah, it is actually the second one that you get. Well,
little kids don't give little kids don't give really much presents, do they? So
right. Well, I can say from experience because I was unemployed last year, so I wasn't able to actually afford to give out gifts. And I felt kind of crappy, getting all this stuff and then, not having really anything to return. I was like, of course I get it. It was my financial position at the time, but it still felt like, oh man, I got to actually do something. I got to return their favor. I got to do something good in return because just taking the gift just kind of, I don't know, I felt kind of bad. So yeah, definitely gift giving, doing something for other people it does actually make you more happy. Yeah. Being selfless is actually either part of or literally is the key to actually happiness in life.
Yeah, and it's I wouldn't even call it a selfless. Because selfless, it's kind of like there is like no really meaning behind it. I would call it charitable, right? Okay. Meaning charitable, it's kind of like being selfless, but it's being selfless with a love, right? You do it with a love. That's what I like even better, as a word for it. Be charitable. Think about yourself less and about the other people, or as they say in Bible, neighbor. Think about your neighbor more, not because it's told you have to do that, not because you have to do that, but because you love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Yeah, most of the people, if I can use my experience, and even from mine experience too, because depression, and that nihilism, and I don't want to do anything because it doesn't even work. Why should I try hard? All these things come to us usually when we are really focusing only on ourselves. We're focusing on our own goals, on our own priorities, on our own things. And it's like a closing the walls, like we're building first the wall around us, because that's what we think about is just, oh, me, right? And then
Right.
those walls start closing on you. Like almost like a punishment. You build those walls around you for your own selfishness, but then those walls start slowly closing on you and giving you less and less freedom, right?
Right.
Yeah, almost when it seems to. But yeah, at the end, from your own experience, even though that you are much younger than me, none of the goals, none of our dreams, no matter how blessed we are in our life, comes 100% to fruition, right? They never do, never, ever. We don't live in a paradise. We are living here on the earth when everything is imperfect. So if person is focusing really on his own goals only and nothing else, just only for own profit, well, and it never comes to fruition, that by itself is very depressing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and then even comes, to this decent fruition, let's give it a number, 95%. It comes to this 95% fruition, really that happiness is very short lasting, because it's not really true happiness. We're not made that way, because we get really, really happy, deeply happy, only when we make somebody else happy.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah.
ourselves. And that is the reason why, why even people who achieved a lot in their lives, like the musicians, for example, look at some of these band players, band musicians,
Mm-hmm.
who started from the very humble beginnings, right? Some of them came from the really, really, poor places. And eventually they become millionaires, and they've been known around the world, and they have so many followers. And they still end up, on drugs, on alcohol,
Right, yeah.
sexual addictions, and some of them commit suicides. And you just
Yeah.
wonder, like, why is that? You achieved everything, and you just quit the whole thing. Why even
Mm-hmm.
got, to this point? Well, because none of those things brought that real, true happiness at the end, because
Yeah.
really it was focused only on me, and there is no depth in that, never will be. We're just not made that way. We're trying to think that
Yeah.
we live that way, but God didn't make us that way. God made us to help each other to come one day to Him. We have to help. That's the one thing. Coming to the heaven, be one day with God, with Him, right? It's working together, not on our own. Even
Mm-hmm.
the religious monks who are living in monasteries, they're still living in groups. They're still living together, right?
Right.
Even the hermits in old times who were living just for the God, being somewhere in a cave, but they still have the people coming to them for advices, to talk about certain things, talk about a God. None of us live alone. We are not made, to live that way. So that is the thing. Depression is always loneliness. And of course, and I'm not a medical doctor, not a psychologist, psychiatrist. I know that there are some people who are more inclined to this particular problem, right? And that's that's a solution, for the medical experts. I'm not it, but for the general people, general population, most of us, we just get to the depression or get to that nihilism, get, to that point that we don't care anything about life anymore. We just got there by ourselves for our own selfishness. We cannot point
Mm-hmm.
a finger because of this person, or because those people, or because situation in a country, or because the politics, any of that. No, it comes straight to us. We just put ourselves there. But because we put ourselves there, the good thing is that we can get ourselves out.
Right. Yeah.
And there is always a way out, always a way out. Mhm.
Before we kind of run out of time, I do want to get into another question. So, and we kind of almost got onto this. So, how does actually an individual get the motivation to set themselves goals in life? So, I guess to more elaborate on that, how does one really find the determination to become selfless, to actually give themselves that goal and ambition in life? Needed to get out of depression or whatever kind of pessimistic view on life they have.
Mhm. Well, the first person has to kind of come to the realization that, hey, I'm not here alone in this world. There's many people like me. It's all of us living together, and some of the people got a lot of more problems than I do.
Right.
So person's got to realize that, and then, start living according to that. Like, hey, maybe I just got to stop focusing on my own issues and start actually working and living with the people and helping the people. And help doesn't mean just that, hey, I got to give somebody money or do some work for somebody, some physical work. I mean, not. I mean, just like it's the way of the life. Even the talking to the people is the help. Many times I went myself to the gas station, right? And talking to the attendant over there, and just because I'm purchasing something and just saying, like, hey, how you doing? How was your day? Just that short 1-2 minutes talk. And you see on that person's face right away, that attendant who was just like standing over there for 6 hours and just really bored to the death. And, that person brightens up right away, and you see like, wow, like, hey, somebody's like a human being trying to talk to me a little bit.
Right.
It's the small things like that. Small things like that. After all, we are living pretty good lives. I mean, there is very little you should be depressed about. I mean, people used to live very, very, poor lives compared to what we
Yeah.
have right now. Even like 60 years ago, back in 1940s, 30s, 20s, I mean, people had a very poor life. And if you look at us, if they would have a chance to look at us, how we live right now, they would say like, wow, you got such a great life. Look at everybody has a car,
they'd be
everybody has a
definitely
roof
annoyed
above
by
their head.
the moral
Yeah,
choices we make. But yeah, I could
yeah,
definitely see with all the
yeah.
technology and everything, they'd
So,
probably be like, wow, that's
yeah. So, I would say, again, so get out from the house, get out from the apartment, look at the people around. The life is not just you and the four walls around you. Life is much wider, much richer, just to think about only yourself. And that is the good way out. And then the rest of it, that person's going to figure out. Mm-hmm.
well.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Yeah. You summarized it so quickly. I almost kind of got lost a little at the end, but okay. Well, there's I guess one more question. We do have a little bit more time. So, why should people care about enjoying life? Why should they not want to just kind of get it over with, and do that
Because we are
unspeakable act?
we are made for a purpose. God made us and put us here for a purpose. He expects us to do something like that parable about the vineyard and the laborers, right? Laborers working at that field, in the Bible. It's kind of the same thing. God expects us to do something in order to receive the reward, being eternal happiness, eternal true happiness with Him after we die. He expects us something to do here on the earth, right? That's why He gave us certain talents, certain abilities, and He put us in certain societies to do that particular job. And it's up to us to figure out what what those talents, what the abilities are for each of us. Everybody got something. As we talked about before, some of the talents are more visible and just, they are so pronounced that people figure out right away. Talent in, in music, right? Acting or something like that. Some talents are more hidden, but each of us got something we can actually contribute to the other people, given to the God, by the God, to us, freely, for nothing. So just use it. Figure out what it is. Find it with a deep soul searching. It's there. It's always there. And then be like, okay, this is my talent. What I can do with it. What I can really do with it to make this place better. That God actually is going to see it. Even in small ways, right? It doesn't have to be some huge, world-changing things. Just the small ways. What can be my contribution with my talent to this world, to these people? So God can look at me like my father, look at me and say, hey, son or daughter, thank you. You did great.
Well, that's it for this week. If you have any questions, feel free to send them to us and we may answer them in a future episode. We'd appreciate it if you could follow us on all social media. And until next week, thanks for listening. Take care and God bless.
Godspeed.